I am Jessica Brown. I sit within CEA Sports's property sales team. In layman's terms, that is global brand partnerships. So we are retained by world-class teams, leagues, and venues, and we go out and secure their sponsorships and naming rights.
There you go.
I know that Layla, you mentioned that you currently work with the Clippers. So an example of what I do with EA Sports would be we have recently been retained by Steve Ballmer and the Clippers Association to seek and source their naming rights partner. So right now we're in the middle of a few different negotiations with a couple different companies to spend north of $400 million over 20 years to be the naming rights partner of the LA Clippers and for their new arena.
There you go. Awesome. I had no idea. So you guys just got some inside scoop. But yeah, my name is Layla, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Jessica, who is a part of CAA, so Creative Artist Agency, and she sits on the Sports Global Brand Partnerships team, and I'll let her tap more into what her day-to-day looks like and what she's responsible for under that title.
So within our group, our deals generally take much longer than a talent deal, much different from like a basketball or football agent who works directly with these athletes as their clients and go out and get them different partnerships and sponsorships from these different brands, whether it be Nike, Adidas, get them a shoe partner, a lifestyle apparel partner, whatever the case is. We sit opposite of that. So our deal, while those deals it can take 30 minutes, it can take a couple months. Our deals can take up to 2 years to come together. And that's because our deals are much larger scale. So whenever you're talking about a company spending $20 million a year for 20 years, with the property or any of our clients, it's always going to take a much longer time. So the very first start of our deal starts with prospecting. So my day to day, if I'm like not in the middle of working through a proposal, whatever the case is, I'm always researching and prospecting and trying to figure out what brands are out there that we have not tapped into. So while we are technically quote unquote client facing, we're very, very brand facing. And sometimes we spend more time talking to our brands that we have built relationships with than we do with our clients. So I've been fortunate enough to really, really, really go hard on building what I call my Rolodex of brands that I'm connected to. So I'm sitting on research and I do a whole lot of Ad Age, Ad Week, Marketing Dive. LinkedIn is a huge source for me, where I'm just making sure I'm staying up to date on the different headlines. What are brands doing? How are they spending their money? Have they sponsored in sports? Who are their new hires in the marketing department? And how can I get through to them? So it may take me, I may send just say 50 emails. Just say I send 50 emails in a month trying to get through to new brands. I may get 3 responses. So it's very, very hard to get in with these brands, especially with these bigger brands. And whenever they know that you're a seller and I'm trying to sell them a property and they're going to have to pay me millions of dollars for that partnership.
It really always is a numbers game. Life is a numbers game. And I talked about this in the previous interview that I did. You just got to keep shooting your shot, and hopefully you'll hear back from 1 or 2. And with that, that's one lesson. But if you're open to sharing any other key lessons that you've learned from your career in sports so far, please do.
My career in sports. It's funny because my career in sports was 1,000% an accident. I don't want to call it an accident because I'm here for a reason. But like we mentioned earlier, we didn't mention this, but I went to Ole Miss. I was a chemistry major, and I worked for the football department there as a work study student. And I was making like barely enough money to get my nails done every other week. Like it was like pennies, but it was so much fun. It gave me the access to different individuals and different businesses and entities that I generally wouldn't have gotten if I were just sitting in the chemistry department hanging out. So I really, really enjoyed my time there, and it worked out for me to where The second year of my work study job, they promoted me, and so the head coach at the time gave me an option. He said, "I can put you on a full scholarship, or I can make you full time." So for someone who was trying to get rid of their loans, I took the full time. I'm sorry, the scholarship that came with the stipend, the same stipend that the athletes got. So that is kind of how I got into this. But with that, I've met so many people, and the number one lesson that I credit my career to is networking. You need to always like have a smile on your face and be welcoming, because this business is client facing and it's all about relationship building and networking. If I don't have like the right attitude, or the case is, no one's gonna want now, but like I'm out of the football recruiting world. No one's going to want to spend money with someone who's just, a dud. And no athlete is going to want to commit to your school if, they don't feel welcome there. So that's the number one name of the game for me, is networking, relationship building, and keeping that foundation solid.
And that all comes down to how you communicate with people and how you make them feel at the end of it. So definitely, I think verbal communication is just as important as nonverbal. So your body language within like Zooms too, like it's so hard now with Zoom that like you don't really know how people are like acting and stuff like that. So you have to be able to read them through a screen as well. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And then my next question for you is, what are like 1 to 2 highlights from your career in sports?
My first highlight is the reason I'm here, which would be Coach Hugh Freeze. He gave me my first true start in the athletic world whenever he gave me that full scholarship and made sure that I got the same stipend that the athletes got in exchange for me working full time. So I've always accredited my career and where I'm at today back to him. The second highlight I think I would have to say was I assisted in the signing of a client here at CAA for a department that I don't work in. So that is big for me, and it all goes back, like I said, to the relationship building. I was able to assist in signing this client based on a relationship that I had with him from college. So I guess those would be my 2 major highlights for now, as I'm still very early in my career. But if you check in with me this time next year, hopefully I'm saying I closed my first multi-million-dollar deal.
You got it, girl. I see it coming. You just got to manifest it and work hard and it'll come. So yeah, I mean, it's funny how like every year our different highlights, they change. Everything changes within a year. You never know. Like I look back at where I was on a year and I'm like, oh my God, like what was I worrying about?
If I'm looking at a year ago today, I was like, and my boss knows this, so I'm okay saying it, I was like 1 foot out the door. I wasn't, because I started here at CAA I guess for my age, untraditionally. I'm not old or anything, but whenever I came into CAA, I started in the reception mailroom program, and everyone here that came in with me they were younger, they had like just finished school. So I'm 20, I was like turning 25, and I'm sitting on reception beside someone who's 22 years old. So it was a very humbling experience for me. I'm glad that I went through it now in hindsight, but at the time I'm like, okay, I'm not getting the desk that I want. Let me figure out what my other opportunities were. And it just so happened I did get a couple job offers outside of CAA that I was entertaining heavily. And but that was a year ago, and I honestly can't imagine, had I taken that job offer, where would I be now?
Right. And it's like everything kind of just like shows itself later. Absolutely. When it's paid off, but like in the moment everything is so hard, but it's like once you get past it, you look back on it, you're like, that was a joke. Like absolutely, I could take on anything moving forward. So you just gotta like, you live and you learn. That's really it. 100%. So we've been dropping a lot of gems, but my last question for you is, what advice would you offer a college student or a recent grad looking to pursue a career within sports?
Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. I'm generally the person who, like, I'm a bubbly, fun, like, love to have a good time, great conversation. that's me for the most part, but I don't get to that point until after I know you. I tend to be shy sometimes, a little quieter, just depends. Don't be like me. Put yourself out there. Go to conferences. Had I not went to this conference called the Sports Industry Networking and Career Conference that GW puts on, I wouldn't be here today. I went to that conference and I stepped out of my shell and put myself out there and walked up to people and introduced myself. And that's again, that's not like me, but that is why I'm here now. So go out, put your face out there, get your name out there, build your LinkedIn profile. That makes a huge difference in the connections and how your timeline looks and the different people that want to connect with you. Be smart about every relationship that you build. I go into relationships not looking at it as what can you do for me, but more what can I do for you? And because I go at it that way, it never looks like I'm trying to get something out of someone. So build authentic, genuine relationships with people whenever you're networking and asking them to pick their brain or whatever the case is. I can't tell you the amount of people that DM me and there's like, hey, that I don't even know, or I'm not even connected to until they send me a message saying, hey, I see this job is open on CA's website. Can I chat with you about it? And I've never held a conversation with them before in my life. So whenever I see that, to me, that looks like you're trying to build this relationship to get something out of it. And that's not genuine. So the most important thing that you can do is build genuine, authentic relationships when you're out networking.
And on that note, what advice can you give to someone who like a young student who's just like, okay, like what can I offer for this professional who has so many years of experience? How did you kind of go in with that mindset? Like for me, that was something that I struggled with too. I was like, what can I offer them without like sounding too like, let me help you, but like I don't know what I can help them with.
I think that instead of just like trying to identify something tangible that you can offer them to help them, like go in like, hey, I'm really interested in your background. I see this about you, XYZ. I would love to set time with you to chat. And then what you do is you set that time to chat and then you make sure that you keep that relationship open. There is a handful of people that I've chatted with who still to this very day will shoot me a text or an email or a LinkedIn message or whatever the case is. And one thing about me that I really, really pride myself on is I always take the call. I always take the message, the brain picking session, because I know that I was in that place one time before. And I think that it's very, very important to always give back, especially whenever you know that you were in that seat. So I always make sure that I take the call, always take the call. And I guess to answer your question specifically, it's not always about something tangible. It's you can offer them just the opportunity to be your mentor, and that may like make them happier in a way that you may not even realize. That to them, that may be doing something for them that you don't even see.
Right. It is the small things in life.
It is a very small thing, but it's very effective, and it's very important.
And send them that like happy holidays email, check in with them when you have an update in life. You just graduated, you got a new internship, whatever it is. Keep them posted. They want to know how like young people are doing, and that like if they give you a tip or something, say like 3 months later, like I practiced XYZ tip that you gave me and like these were the results. Like they want to know how they have been helping you, even if it's not like a very straightforward and visible thing. So.
Exactly. And keeping the lines of communication open and without it being like you trying to pull something out of them, trying to get something from them, like that keeps you top of mind for them. Whenever these different opportunities come up in the different various areas, like you'll be top of mind, like, oh, this person will be great for this.
And share your wins, small or big, on LinkedIn. That's something that I always do.
Small win is a win.
Yeah, and they love seeing that stuff. Like there's so many times when I'll go to networking events and they'll be like, Layla, like I saw that you had this and that. And I'm like, yeah, like, and it's because they know. Or like sometimes I'll see like those like generic quotes and stuff and I'll be like, I'll tag them like, you taught me this or this made me think of you. Like they love that kind of stuff. Awesome. So I think that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for everything. It was so nice getting to know you. and getting to hear about all your insights as a chemistry major who shifted into sports. So really anything is possible.
Anything's always possible.
There you go. There you go. You heard it first from Miss Jessica, guys. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome, Layla. Y'all have a great day.
You too.